Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me as we're going to take a look at the astrological energies from December 18th until December 25th. And this is quite an interesting week with fated choices, perhaps difficulty in making a decision or gaining clarity in an area of life that's important to you. Strong Venus energies this week, highlighting relationship dynamics and old patterns that you're meant to grow out of and move away from. Plus, the sun passes through the Capricorn Solstice portal, fully enters Capricorn on December 21st at 4:21 a.m. Eastern Time. And this is when there is a turning of the seasonal dial and we move into the fourth quarter of the astrological calendar. Now, we're going to discuss each of the main energies, of course, of this week. And I hope this helps validate anything that you are sitting with, moving through, especially that is uncomfortable, because the energy right now is challenging us to grow and to make decisions based on our intuition, to override the mind, to look at what is actually best for our soul, our spirit, our spiritual path, and our next level. But there could be this internal wrestling match between what your mind is logically thinking about or rationally focused on. This has to do with the second square between Jupiter retrograde in Gemini squaring Saturn in Pisces at 14 degrees. This is their second square. The first one was August 19th when both were at 17 degrees, and now they meet up for the second time at 14 degrees, Gemini, 14 degrees of Pisces. And then we add into the mix the fact that Mercury is now direct, but moving very slowly. Mercury has been hanging out at 6 degrees of Sagittarius, gaining momentum, and is going to be entering into this dialogue between Jupiter and Saturn that can be bringing about discomfort, impatience, anger, dissatisfaction, and perhaps not feeling, how do I resolve this? What do I choose? What do I decide? Because right now it can feel like there is no clear or even good, quote unquote, good choice. So we're going to discuss that in today's show because it is a big energy that lasts until the end of December. So do keep that in mind, that whatever you are mentally wrestling with, you just might not know what to do, what to say, what to plan this month. It might not be evident until January. Now, I realize it's not realistic to put off decisions and that there's things that you've got to communicate or discuss or make a choice around. But because this energy, this square, is between Jupiter and Saturn, this relates to a bigger choice point in your life. This is more significant than just the mundane, what am I going to have for dinner decisions. This is perhaps, if it's working with you personally, this is a bigger picture of a life choice point, a decision in your career, something that you've been trying to figure out and perhaps it's been coming and going, it gets important and then it drifts away. All of that is part of this energetic dance right now. But this is a week where you're going to feel the pressure even more. So I will discuss that in today's show. But I'm actually going to start with the nodes of fate, which are currently at 2 degrees. The north node in Aries is at 2 degrees, and the south node in Libra is at 2 degrees. And so why is that significant? Well, it's important because it means that South Node in Libra is conjunct the Super Galactic Center. And this highlights relationship dynamics. The Super Galactic Center is a massive vacuum of energy. It's like this crazy galactic portal that pulls in and consumes all kinds of energies. Think of it as a galactic Dyson vacuum. And in Libra, it relates to relationships. It's the black hole of relationships, people, connections, attraction. And it's a point that highlights extreme relationships that are all consuming, as well as more of the extremes of Libra people pleasing, an insatiable desire to relate, high codependency, relationship hopping, always being in a relationship, always needing someone else to contribute to your energy field. There's an excessiveness here, and it highlights out of balance dynamics. The South Node in Libra is bringing to your attention relationship dynamics, habits, patterns, and communication styles that you're meant to evolve and shift that maybe have been unconscious or part of your world that you've never fully looked at or considered. Now, the Super Galactic Center is at 2 degrees of Libra. And keep in mind, this is different than the Galactic Center at 27 degrees of Sagittarius, which is where the sun is right now as well on December 18th and 19th. So we have 2 galactic activations occurring. And this is important to understand in terms of how we are meant to be changing right now. And you could be coming up against parts of yourself that are afraid to change, afraid to do relationships differently, afraid to speak up, afraid to assert yourself. Now, because the Libra energy at the super galactic degree point of 2 degrees of Libra is conjunct the South Node, for the first time in 19 years, you could be in a situation, relationship, or communication with someone right now that is revealing to you how you're holding back what you want, what you need, what matters to you. That Libra energy, again, it wants to keep the peace. It doesn't want to ruffle feathers. And this can be excessive. This is where the lower expressions of Libra create codependency and self-abandonment, where you're giving up who you are, what you want, what you need for the sake of the relationship, the partnership, the connection. And the universe is saying, look at this right here, look at this pattern. Now, this is occurring until just after Christmas and the start of Hanukkah, the South Node being at 2 degrees of Libra for about 10 days. And as it is activating these relationship dynamics that ultimately are out of balance, and you could feel that internally. Where do you feel out of balance? And then where do you feel afraid to speak up or assert yourself? Or perhaps you don't want to rock the boat or change a dynamic. Well, what's going to happen this week is that after the sun enters Capricorn on December 21st, then the sun in Capricorn squares the nodes of fate at 2 degrees. So the sun enters this conversation and applies pressure to your evolution. But the sun in Capricorn is about responsibility, commitment, authority. There could be a sense of, am I disappointing people? Am I letting them down? Am I being responsible with my obligations, what they expect of me, what they need from me? There could be a pressure point here where that sun in Capricorn wants you to stay the course. Make some executive level decisions. Look at what is best for the long term and also what is the safe bet, because the sun in Capricorn is more conservative, is not a risk taker, and wants to stay the tried and true course. So there's energies right now with the South Node, North Node, and the sun entering Capricorn highlighting 0 to 2 degrees of the cardinal signs. 0 to 2 degrees of Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn. I'm actually going to extend it to 4 degrees. So 0 to 4 degrees of the cardinal signs, you are in a karmic pressure cooker that is bringing up choices, relationships, communications, and the habits you've been in that you're meant to evolve out of, but it's uncomfortable. It isn't something that's just smooth and easy and simple. It could involve difficult conversations. It could involve multiple conversations or choices. And so all of this is happening while Jupiter retrograde in Gemini is creating a second square to Saturn in Pisces at 14 degrees. This is another pressure cooker. And what's interesting here is that the second square is about a big picture decision, option, or choice, something that is coming through that you have to pay attention to. And it adds to this discomfort of making a choice and wanting there to be the best possible option. Now, with this Jupiter-Saturn square at 14 degrees, the energy has already been active since August. August 19th was the first square between the biggest planet in our solar system, Jupiter, and then the planet of discipline, restrictions, and limitations, Saturn. So that is the discomfort here. The sense of this is how I want to grow. This inspires me. This feels like a great opportunity. I can sense the energy. It lifts me up. And then it's coming up against that Saturn that requires a responsible direction, honoring commitments, being wise, and not being too impulsive. So you could feel torn between, do I leave this job and follow something that feels like the better, truer path for me? Or do I stay because I know that people rely on me and they can't just find a replacement and there are obligations I'm tied to? Do I sell this house? Do I move to a new home? Do I go back to school? Do I embark on a new path that I've always wanted to try out? Do I stay in this relationship? Has this relationship run its course? Am I meant to move on? Can we solve this? Can we solve these big problems in front of us? Can we talk it through and find a mutual resolution? Do I jump on the next train out of town? And so on and so forth. See, this is a tension that we are sitting in and working through that's actually gifting us with some really important insights right now. And so we have these two parts of our lives that are requiring us to do something differently, to move forward, to evolve, to work with the pressure that's coming from the mind and the need to know, the need to understand, and to trust what you're feeling, to trust the heart, your intuition, and your emotional self. And this big picture pressure is happening at 14 degrees of the mutable signs. So you're feeling it if you have planets or points between 12 to 17 degrees of the mutable signs, which are Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. And this is a different pressure point than what I described around the nodes of fate and relationship dynamics. But because the astrology is always connected and always working together, they do tie together. And I find it fascinating that we're getting the second square between Jupiter and Saturn, which is the energy that the sun is moving through right now. So the sun in Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. The Jupiter energy is going to feel more promising, uplifting. This is what to do. This is what I want. This is what's on my mind. And then as the sun moves into Capricorn, the energy shifts to Capricorn's ruling planet of Saturn in Pisces, which is wait, maybe not. I'm overthinking it. It doesn't make sense. I don't want to let people down. And I'm seeing the energy move quite rapidly at times from the mind and the desire to figure it out. What's the choice? What's the option? I need to know. And then it goes into the higher realms of the intuition and your soul's guidance. And so what this is bringing up for you is how much you are willing to trust your soul, your heart, your emotions, your intuition, because the Saturn energy dominates. And the Saturn energy in Pisces is asking us to complete chapters where we've already been. What you've already done, you've already lived through it, you've already had a certain role, responsibility, you've done something a certain way. It's unfolded, you've lived it, you've been through it, and Saturn is closing out a cycle here in Pisces that actually won't fully resolve until next November. Next November is when this Saturn in Pisces is going to be trining Jupiter in Cancer at 25 degrees. They are both in water signs, which validates your intuition, your heart, your feelings, what you need, what you desire, what you feel supports you, where there is flow and trust, and essentially returns the decision or the option to whatever this Saturn in Pisces is directing you to trust. So it's not a fast-moving decision or a fast-moving process. We are actually working with our own internal programming at a very deep level. We are challenging the power of our mind, of our rationale, and our logic. And there's an energy here that wants you to go higher, to be ready for a next level experience in your life. And that's where Saturn is also supporting you in clearing out what's over, what's done, what actually isn't going to serve you for the long term. And so connecting it back to what I was saying earlier about relationships, there are people in your world that aren't going to be able to travel with you or go with you into this next level, this next journey, this new start, and they're going to start to fall away in 2025. 2025 is where we see a significant shift between Pisces and Aries energies. There's an understanding of what we've lived through, what's closing out, and the new starts that our souls are ready for, that we are ready to move into some beginnings that maybe you only dreamed of, you never thought would transpire, you never thought it would be possible. But in order to do so, there's areas of your life where you have to clear the decks. You have to close out chapters, experiences, people, jobs, situations, etc., that aren't going to connect with the new starts that are happening in the new year. And I feel that when we silence the mind and you tune into what's going on in the heart space, because I'm seeing the heart space and the crown chakra being powerfully connected with this energy field, and they are holding space for the mental process that's happening internally. And I'm seeing this as two cylinders, where the mind is a narrow cylinder, and then the heart, intuition, soul guidance is a much wider, bigger cylinder. Again, holding space for the mental process that's part of the human experience. So I guess if we were to rush ahead to what is the best decision, it is the one found through your intuition, your soul, your heart, what you're feeling. That's where the answer lies. But you might be struggling through something right now, struggling to trust yourself, which is part of where the Gemini energy, Jupiter in Gemini, is coming up against that Saturn in Pisces energy. I don't know if I can trust this. I don't know if I'm going to have all the information or answers or do this right. And because the energy isn't resolving itself quickly, we're just sitting in it. You're sitting in something. If this resonates with you, of course, you're sitting in something that could be turning you into a pretzel or turning you into a tornado or something, because it doesn't feel like there's a clear answer, except there is. And your soul is holding it. Your soul is holding that answer for you to honor whatever human process you need to move through, and to know that as long as you trust yourself, you're going to feel it within yourself, especially when you're quiet. Okay, so this brings us back to that South Node in Libra energy, working with the Super Galactic Center and highlighting the people you're moving away from, you're outgrowing, the relationships that are meant to change. And you have to keep in mind, and I offer this as just a way to calm your heart, your emotional body, to calm the mind, and especially to calm any of that Sun and Capricorn responsibility. Trust that they have their guidance too, and that whatever is best for one person can be best for everyone involved, and help people move on, move forward, to allow them to meet the parts of themselves or the next parts of their journey that have their name on it. And I feel too, like, especially people who listen to this podcast, you tend to feel a lot of responsibility. You feel it as an empath, a light worker, a starseed, like you came in as part of your mission and your soul purpose to get things done, to grow, to heal, and to help other people. And that is a beautiful gift to offer. But how this energy is playing out right now is to look at where you're out of balance with yourself, and to understand that it ultimately doesn't serve anyone to abandon who you are or what you want for the sake of something in your world. meaning you should be able to bring the fullness of what you want, what you need, and who you are into any equation that is good for you. So if you're out of balance right now, if something is holding you back from what you really want or what you really need, you're going to feel it. And with this Mars retrograde in Leo, you could be mad, you could be stirring in it, you could be resentful, you could be fired up, like you could have the sense of an internal rage or an internal discomfort because you're aware that this is not where you're going, it's where you've been. And that retrograde Mars in Leo is trining the North Node in Aries this week and actually into January. So that Mars is roaring. You have an internal roar that's telling you where you're off track or where you're not in full alignment with what you need. And so this is an important theme right now. It could also feel harder to stand up for yourself or to take a stand or to express exactly what you need right away. You might have to talk it out, write it out, have multiple conversations with people in order to get to the heart of what is really going on or what you really need to do. So all of this to say, there's tension and pressure right now in our evolution. There are parts of you that are actually meant to fall away, meaning you are outgrowing them. They are exfoliating off of you, and it's allowing yourself to move into this new territory, and it's the discomfort of growth. The discomfort of growth could be something that you're sensing or feeling right now. Now, we do have positive developments for Venus this week. So that's going to support moving this tension forward and understanding it. So Venus in Aquarius trines this Jupiter retrograde in Gemini at 14 degrees on December 19th. And that trine between Venus and Jupiter is typically uplifting, happy, abundant. It brings in positive communications, ideas, plans. Things just feel lighter. You could have a sense of deeper understanding. You could feel that there are opportunities here, openings. Typically, when we talk about Venus trining Jupiter, we say it's good for love, it's good for money, it's good for creativity, and all of that is true. But in the air signs, we're able to connect the dots around information, to make sense of it, to have an encouraging perspective that maybe we were not grasping, especially after this Mercury retrograde. So I feel that this Venus comes in and she could certainly be a feminine energy, a sister, friend, lover, wife, whomever is feminine in your life, and brings in something to consider for the future. And that's one of the ways that Venus in Aquarius takes us forward, changes the angle on something. You see a shift in what you were thinking about, and she offers a new vision, a new dream, a new understanding, and she is supporting this Jupiter retrograde in Gemini that's squaring Saturn. So there's a sense of, okay, I can give my mind a break here, not overthink it, not go into too much anxiety, and know that the universe always has an opening, always has a solution, and that this particular trine between Venus and Jupiter gives you hope and faith, gives you a sense of, yes, the universe is taking care of this and is creating something beautiful, something loving, something creative and kind. So December 19th is a great day for communications, ideas, planning, projects, getting an understanding of where you're going next year, what you want, who you want to travel with, who you want to work with, because the Aquarius and Gemini energies are social and they allow us to share our ideas with people who are on the same page. So Venus in Aquarius has got that going on December 19th. Then she moves forward, and on December 23rd, she sextiles Chiron retrograde in Aries at 19 degrees. Now, if you listen to the podcast regularly, you've heard me mention how this Chiron is hanging out at the Aries solar eclipse point that was significant back in April. This was a time of new understandings around who you are now. And Chiron brings up what we need to heal, what we are understanding. Chiron in Aries dismantles the typical warrior energy of Aries, softens it, requires you to go into parts of yourself that maybe you judged, you thought were weak, you felt shame around, you didn't know what to do with it. And now this Venus in Aquarius sextiling Chiron is giving you understandings of your gifts, how you're loved, how to work with new parts of yourself that are emerging, how to see it as intentional soul activations that maybe felt painful at first, that felt confusing. Chiron is where we just want to sit with the Kleenex box. Chiron is not easy. Chiron is where things become emotional, and in Aries, it can feel personal. But this Venus in Aquarius sextiling Chiron in Aries is asking you to detach from just your limited self-perception and to understand that all parts of you can be gold. All parts of you contribute to the diverse magic that you came in with. And how are you honoring this in yourself? So I feel this is a strong self-love vibration here, and that Venus in Aquarius is helping to move us to the next chapter. She's moving us forward, and she's reminding you that yes, you've been through some hard things. Yeah, there have been painful experiences or tough phases of life and vulnerable parts of yourself that you've had to understand. But now she's saying we're going to move it forward. We're going to take the best of this wisdom, move it forward, make it sparkly and beautiful, and do something with it so that you can understand how it all serves you. It's all working to support you, and everything that you're going through or you've been through is about raising your self-love frequency. So isn't this quite fascinating? As we start to put the pieces together around the energy of this week, there are relationship patterns that we are meant to take responsibility for, that we're meant to see where we've given parts of ourselves to others. We've handed over what we want or what we thought would make them happy. Perhaps we've abandoned parts of ourselves to keep the peace. Maybe there are some areas of your life where you're realizing, I'm not communicating exactly what I want. I want to be clearer. I want to be stronger in expressing what I need, who I am, what I want, whatever the case may be, so that other people can hear it and we can have good conversations that don't jeopardize the relationship. And then we have the supportive energy from Venus in Aquarius, and Venus rules this South Node in Libra. And she's saying, do it. Do it for your future self. Go where you're being called. And I feel that too as this very electrifying, sparkly light code essence. Like it looks like this really cool stream of consciousness that you're receiving around what is best for my future self that's already here, but I'm maybe been pushing it away for the sake of something else in your life. In other words, am I standing here in all of my desires, my brilliance, my needs, my dreams, or have I limited that in myself? Have I limited that because certain people can't grow with me, or certain areas of my life aren't ready to evolve, or this job only wants me to do this and won't allow me to grow in this direction? Or is it this friendship that has run its course and I don't see it lasting much longer? Or maybe it's simply parts of yourself that you're internally feeling and struggling with because the universe is saying it's time for your next era. It's time for this next version of you. So don't hold back who you are. Don't hold back the truth of what you've lived through, what you've healed, what you've decided, what you've come to understand about what this lifetime means to you. Even when it's uncomfortable, even when you rock the boat, even when you know other people aren't going to like it, aren't going to be happy about your promotion or your new house or your next step, do it anyways. Do it because this energy of the nodes of fate plus the Jupiter-Saturn square is a portal into more of your soul's essence. And it's funny because I'm seeing it as shrinking the energy down in order to go through the portal. And that shrinking down is a filter or a purification of what you can't take with you because you don't need it, because it's too much baggage, too much weight. It's sort of like We've accumulated a lot that we were meant to experience, but it's temporary. It's been temporary possessions or temporary experiences, a temporary job role. And then we let that go, throw it off, throw it out in order to take only the purest parts of ourselves through the portal. And it's like entering a whole new world, because as I'm visualizing all this, I see this portal as being silver, white, sparkly, some light yellow essence as well. And then you go through the portal, and on the other side, everything's clear. There's this clearing and a lot of light and a lot of transparent, clear energy. It feels like floating. There's a lightness to the body. There's a lightness in the energy, almost like you're breathing different air. And I'm seeing the portal as basically a huge clearing out karma, soul contracts, lessons, soul connections. You get the point. It's like it's clearing all that away. All that is over. And then there is clear confirmation that you're in a new chapter, a new part of your experience that you only could have made or arrived at through the discomfort, through the internal struggle and the wrestling with options and choices, the pressure from other people, the pressure from yourself. And of course, only go with this if it's resonating for you, because some people are really in it and some people aren't. So if you're not feeling this, understand that other people around you could be, and that could be what you're observing and what you're picking up on. So again, the pressure cooker energy is happening between 0 to 4 degrees of the cardinal signs, Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, and then 12 to 17 degrees of the mutable signs, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, Pisces. And the universe is guiding you to work with your intuition and your soul's guidance, to trust in the wisdom of the water signs, because the water signs are going to be powerful in 2025, where we will have the North Node in Pisces along with Saturn and Neptune. And then we'll also have that trine with Jupiter in Cancer and Saturn in Pisces at 25 degrees in November. So basically what we are really applying in our lives is more of our intuitive guidance systems, heart-based living, trusting our emotional body, trusting our feelings, honoring our mastery of the mind, knowing that the mind is always going to have stories and messages. The mind is always going to have reasons and logic. But this is a bigger picture connection to what you're really feeling, and to know that there's so much wisdom in the feelings that you're meant to beautifully honor on your path. This energy does last for the rest of the month, but I hope this has pinpointed what might be coming up or what you might already be in or feeling, and hopefully validates it. That it's not just you, you're not alone, you're not crazy. This is what's going on in the cosmos, and of course we are feeling it and living it in our realities. I'm going to be doing a YouTube live on Thursday, December 19th at 2 p.m. Eastern to discuss the Capricorn solstice. I wanted to talk about why it's a significant shift in the astrological wheel, especially into 2025, and what to be aware of as we move into the fourth quarter of the astrological calendar. So that YouTube live will be on my YouTube channel, of course, on December 19th, 2 p.m. Eastern, and then it will be available to watch afterwards under the live tab on the YouTube channel. I will have pre-recorded podcast episodes for you on Christmas Day, Wednesday, December 25th, as well as on Wednesday, January 1st. So my podcast schedule will continue as normal through the holidays. And it's a really important time to get a heads up on the 2025 astrological transits. They are really big in how we are moving into new eras and new chapters globally and personally. And I want to make sure that you can see where the energies are happening in your chart. And so that's why I have the 2025 Soul Growth Astrology program, where I guide you through the big transiting energies of the year. And then you look at where that is in your chart. So you can identify by house placement, by planetary placements, what will be coming up for you in the new year. This is one of the best ways to work with astrology, and it's designed to be a way to plan accordingly, adjust expectations, know what's coming down the line for you, what to prepare for, where perhaps the challenges will be, but also where the rewards will show up as well. It'll also be important to get a heads up on March. March 2025 is where we're going to have Venus retrograde, Mercury retrograde, and eclipse energies, plus Neptune moving into Aries. So all of that is covered in the program, plus a lot more. I give a lot of information so that you can come back throughout the year and check in to see how things are playing out for you. So this program is available on my website. I have the details below the podcast there, and it's designed to be affordable so that more people can have a heads up and make the most of what 2025 will bring their way. May this next week bring you beautiful developments with Venus trining Jupiter, and may you feel a rising trust in your soul's guidance, your intuition, your heart, and the powerful emotional messages that are coming through at this time. You can find more about my latest courses and offerings at mollymccord.online, where I have a variety of astrology programs for all levels of learning. And be sure to check out my YouTube playlists. Tons of free videos, including a Start Here tab. If you're brand new to astrology and you don't know what the heck I just said, that's okay. Everyone is new to astrology at some point. It's a whole language to learn. But do check out that Start Here tab on my YouTube channel as I guide you to learn more about your own chart. Wishing you a beautiful day ahead, and I'll be back here to discuss more astrology with you soon.